Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Now, for the benefit of those of you who are not familiar with this channel or watching this channel for the first time, the reason why it is called Uncommon Sense because here on this platform, we discuss everyday we talk about everyday issues and we try to find logical solutions, but not everyone uses logic. For that reason, it is called uncommon sense. I don't want to let everybody know that right now we're currently on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Now, I also want to let everybody know currently on now. What does that mean? That means that that means that excuse me that if you're not a subscriber and you wish to enter a comment in the chat, you will need to start by giving a huge shout out to all those who have already subscribed to the channel. I really appreciate all the love and support that you give me. I also want to acknowledge all those who follow me in social media, whether it be Facebook or what have you. And I also want to give a huge shout out to all those who allow me to enter into the devices. So what I'm going to ask you to do is the following. If you have not done so, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe, like, and hit the bell notification to all. So therefore, whenever I do produce content, you will have the opportunity to or catch it on the playback. So before we get into the topic tonight, there's a couple of things that I need to address. Okay. Um, First of all, I've already programmed my streams um, for Friday and for next week. So the stream for next week is going to be on outrageous single moms. Now let me make this disclaimer. This is not an indictment on all single moms. There are single moms that do an excellent job raising their children. However, we do have to highlight that there are some single moms that are not very responsible. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Also, on next week's stream, uh, we're going to talk about um, two interesting topics. On Tuesday, we're going to talk about the psychological effects of cyberbullying. Unfortunately, that's something that's been going on for quite some time. So what we're going to do is we're going to address it, and we're going to state what it is, and we're going to try to find logical solutions. And we're going to be talking about the passport pros. Okay, are they a blessing or a curse? We have heard a lot about the passport pros, so I'm going to give you my observation about it. Okay. Now, one thing I want to make it perfectly clear. Um, Here on this platform, I allow everyone, and I repeat, everyone, the freedom to express their point of views as they see fit. Okay. I will hope and I would appreciate when I go on other people's platforms, that the same courtesy be given to me, whether it be on platforms or in Discord. Okay. Um, if there's going to be a problem, um, me expressing my point of views on your platform or on your Discord, I'm going to do yourself a favor and not make my presence felt. Okay. I just want to make sure that just as I give everybody an opportunity to express their point of view, that opportunity be granted to me. So, that being said, we're going to get into the main topic. Okay. Okay. So, as you can see on the thumbnail, the topic for tonight is Victimization Olympics. Now, let me explain to you um, what brought upon me to discuss this topic. What we have seen in our own personal lives, and also um, when you have people who have been who have made poor choices in because of relationships, whether it be careers, whether it be partners, whether it be clothing or habit, would take accountability for the actions that they're taking, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay? And again, mature, responsible adults will do this. However, one thing we have seen that there are certain individuals who, for whatever reason, are not able to take accountability for their actions. Okay. So what do they do? Instead of taking accountability, what they'll do is don't blame others. Okay? They'll blame their friends. They'll blame their circumstances. They'll blame racism, anything but themselves. So that's the reason why we're dwelling into this topic. Okay. Now, let me make this perfectly clear. I'm not here to talk about um, any individuals. I'm not here even to talk about group of individuals. However, I'm just giving a general assessment regarding these individuals that for whatever reason, whatever sense of circumstances, they're not in a position to actually um, to acknowledge the fact that you know they made mistakes and they have to take accountability for their actions. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to share my screen. Please bear with me because my computer's been running slow. I'm going to see if I can share something on my screen. Okay. Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me? Okay. For some reason, it's not. Let me try this again. Okay. Oh, come on. Okay. Just give me a moment, please. Because these things do happen. Oops. Okay, just give me a moment. I'm going to try again. Good evening, Irby. Thank you very much for stopping by. Okay. Just give me a moment. Let's try this one more time. For some reason, it's not showing on my screen. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to review. Okay. I came across an article from a website called MBG, and the name of the article is "Nine Signs of a Victim Complex and How to Deal with It in Others." Okay. Taking a while, so I'm just going to have someone who feels nothing goes right for them. Yes, that's right. Hit of nothing goes right in conversation. There's a lot of time that stop taking advantage of it. Talk about their problem. Child responsibility. If you know someone who has a pattern of negativity or self-sabotage, okay. Now, here's the definition of a victim's complex. It's the feeling constant life experience. If you have a complex, you feel lack of control in your life, others, well, things go wrong. Overall, feel like this way, if you have a victim complex, you feel victimized more severely, more often, and for a longer. Having a victim complex, experiencing extra trauma or victimization, wins, not necessarily the victim. In fact, most of the was a trauma don't feel the event defined then and see the they're thinking. Much different from someone speaking about gender issues. Letier points out that someone who is complex tend to generalize being against them as an individual, specifically while people in oppressed, marginalized group usually observe injury being perpetrated against the entire group, not just them. More important, systematic approach people think about their personal system, move the needle, and affect change. Unlike those with a victim's complex, who actually are resistant contribution in challenges or conflict. Some that focus on my own problems, as he said. At the root, a victim complex is characterized as that your life is within. Now we're going to talk about the signs of a victim complex. Number one, in weakness that's come with a victim complex to think back on the way they have been hurt by others instead of musing over positive and productive. They isolate members that bring them to stress and hurt. Through this process, they are usually mired in an unhelpful and unhealthy thought pattern that keeps them tied to the past. Number two, and this is a very important point, they blame others for mistakes. Your friend or partner with a victim complex won't take accountability for their part when things go wrong. They will typically blame others or make excuses for why they're not responsible for what happened. Matisse says when they retell stories or bring up others, they paint themselves as a helpless person with the best intentions and everyone else with malice. Someone incompetent to take ownership over their own life, which keeps them stuck in a cycle of victimhood. Something is always going wrong for them. Someone's fault, Matisse says. If something bad happened at work, they blame it on their boss. During a breakup, they complain endlessly about their ex and how they were mistreated. In each situation, they're the helpless victim and everyone else is the perpetrator. Really take accountability. Matisse shares is unable to reflect despite the situation, whether they're receiving feedback or at work or they're in conflict with a friend, they tend to focus on what was negatively done to them in the situation. My coworker has it out for me. As soon as I started the job, I know project fit. It's always a person and what they're doing to inflict harm. Number 5, they monopolize. When you catch up with them, most of the conversation usually around the victim's life and what they're going through. They're so in their struggles that they're unable to acknowledge or emphasize when you are going through a hard time. Like he says, as a result of going through, the victim is not able to appropriately hold space for you, leading to an uneven, one-sided relationship. Okay. Number 6, the need to be right. Red and white. In conflicts, it's tough to see someone as completely right or wrong. They're usually learning and gray areas to navigate on both sides. For people with a victim complex, though, Williams said they are unable to see specific subtleties on the point of on their point of view. They're view themselves as good or pious and see others as your life is bad or evil, she says. People's roles, expectations, and emotions feel absolute no matter what. In every situation, the victim was pushed around. Okay. Number seven, they hold grudges. Being able to let go of the situation with gratitude, peace, and acceptance isn't it. But someone has a victim complex. We've noted unable to reflect on the hurt others and how their action made others feel. Because they're not willing to let go, they're more likely to have an ill will and want those who hurt them punished. Number Number eight, they're highly suspicious and mistrustful. It was marked by social mistrust, egoism, and suspicion in interpersonal and social dynamics. So they are these individuals tendency to cause any situation is unjust, even if the situation. We should interesting about these circumstances because they see little hope in changing things, almost as they have no control over the situation. For people who put themselves in the victim role, says everyone knows they're exploited or taken advantage of. Because of their strong identification, the victim rarely takes on an empowered stance and we're going to be discussing what causes a victim. Okay. Early victimization. If someone has a victim complex, they may have up in a dysfunctional environment where they're either subjected to abuse, betrayal of trust, and social rejection during a critical life event. Not being able to see the other people inherent integrity and benevolence determinately affect such experiences may be formed the basis for the way they view the world. The next issue, betrayal of trust. Had an early childhood, they were able to live in a world where people is honest, reliable, and stable. From a young age, they became attuned to feelings of helplessness, moral outrage, and fleeting emotions of anger. People who are sensitive to victimhood stay with the emotion much longer. Okay. Lack of victim sounds a coping strategy to ward out painful situations and inadvertently turn into a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because less willing to help the feelings of envy and jealousies, and they were less likely to accept apologies from their partners. Another factor, the person actually feel grimy. With people who suffer from victim sensitivity, it brings strong sense of being victim. A 2015 study saw that they were likely to behave aggressively and destructively exploitation. Their reactions feel reactionary to avoid being attacked. Negative self-talk. Developing an anchored, consistent sense of self allows you to move through life with stability. For people with a victim complex that often have a negative self-concept, it's typical for them to think of themselves as weak, unlucky, too sensitive, an easy target for bullies or prey or bad behavior. Um, the next thing to consider is innate personality traits. Victim complex are clear, the research is still ongoing. With recent research, we notes that the evidence of suggest that the victim complex may be a personality trait existing as a core aspect of a person's identity since it's supported by developmental and cognitive process. Okay. Now we're going to talk about how to deal with someone with a victim complex. Number Mattia points out everyone's entitled to their feelings, but don't have to trying to help them manage their emotions, reinforce them as a victim of their sins, the opportunity to work through. Oftentimes, those with a victim complex people think they can save them. While you may be well intentioned for trying to help, it can often perpetuate the victim state for the case says. Just give me a moment. Set clear boundaries. It will really drain when they're keeping score on grievances with their roommate or obsessed with past trauma from living situation. You can let them know you want to have limits for how much you talk about certain things, issues over and over again. Set something in your interactions with someone with a victim complex. It's important while also gently reminding them of their own power and the situation. And it takes advices. Number 3, be mindful of your interactions. Avoid engaging arguments over whether their feelings are valid to them, even if they don't make sense. So you. On that note, she recommends not fueling their victimization and neutral ground. While you want them to be there for them, you also don't want to create a codependency or nurture black and white thinking where there's a clear villain and a powerless victim. number affirm them of their own power. The victim complex originally starts because of a fundamental distrust in the world. To bring sweetness and levity back to how they view situation, encourage them to find the bright side in situations. The world can be a bad place, but there's also a lot of beautiful and kind people too. Remind them that they have the autonomy over how situation play out. While there is a possibility of things to go wrong, gently guide them towards the possibility that there's also a chance that three. Encourage your loved ones to get professional support. Ultimately, it's up to the victim complex and how it affected them. We recommend therapy as an effective way to explore their beliefs and heal them of their hurt. Several therapeutic approaches can help you to understand why you feel the way you do and can empower you to move forward. Cognitive behavior therapy, CBT, motivational interviewing and acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT. Now, here is the takeaway. Someone who has a victim complex isn't easy. With boundaries, you can help empower them to build a balanced worldview that allows the good and the bad. But at the end of the day, it's up to them to move on and let go of old stories. And if you're someone that may be sensitive to victimization, know that change starts with self awareness. By realizing the compulsion to see yourself in limitation, it's possible to build self confidence, compassion, and kindness needed to reclaim your story. And we're going to park it here. Okay. So let me just give you my observation regarding the article. The fact of the matter is, it can become very easy to fall into the victimization complex. Okay. It's very easy to participate in what's called the Victimization Olympics. Why? First of all, because you are the perpetual victim. Okay. And what that means is when you are the perpetual victim, therefore you don't have the power to change. Therefore, there's sense of accountability for your actions. Okay, and some people can be afflicted with this complex in their early life based on certain situations where their trust was violated or psychologically harmed. The key, as always, is not to have a problem and to take the steps needed to address it. Okay, it's very easy when you are the victim. Okay, it's very easy to maintain that. Well, no one, everyone's against me. My friends are against me. My co-workers against me because what happens? That takes away accountability for your actions, and that's why it can be appealing. Um, so, but I'm going to share another article. I'm not going to load it up because my computer is acting kind of slow. Okay. Of course, all of you are more than welcome. The link is there if you wish to join the panel. Okay. Now, I came across this article at a website called Thought Company, and the name of the article is Understanding the Victim Complex, and it was written by, updated in November 10th, 2019. Okay. And I see we have Morana. It's in the chat. Good evening. Thank you very much for stopping by. And let me let everybody know that Morana has her own YouTube channel, and she does um, produce a lot of good content. Sometimes it's little, so and I believe she does that to not to conflict with the other YouTube creators. So I'm going to ask that you have not done so, is to check out her content, subscribe, and hit the bell notification for everyone that does go live or produce content. You will have the opportunity to catch. Thank you very much. Is Victimization Olympics. So what we're doing is we're talking about people who, instead of taking accountability for their actions, they blame everybody else and they portray themselves as the victim. Okay, so let me just share with you the article. Okay. In clinical psychology, victim complex or victim mentality describes a personality trait in constructions of others, even when they may aware of evidence to the contrary. Most people go through normal periods of simple self-pity as part of the grieving process, for example. However, these episodes are temporary and minor compared to perpetual feelings of helplessness, pessimism, guilt, shame, despair, and depression that can lives of the persons afflicted with this complex. It's not uncommon for people who have actually been victims of physical abuse or manipulative relationships to fall prey to universal victim mentality. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to compare victim complex versus mother complex. Sometimes people the term victim complex. Mother complex describes the personality trait of people who actually desire the feeling of repeatedly being the victim. Such people sometimes seek out and even encourage their own victimization in order to satisfy a psychological need or as an excuse to avoid personal responsibility. Persons diagnosed with a mother complex often knowingly place themselves in situations or relationships that most likely will cause some. Outside the theatrical complex, which holds that mothers are persecuted as punishment for their refusals to reject a religious doctrine or deity, persons with a martyr complex seek to suffer in the name of love or duty. The martyr complex is sometimes associated with a personality disorder called masochism, which describes a preference for and pursuit for suffering. Psychologists often observe the mother complex in persons involved in abusive or codependent relationships, fed up by their perceived misery. Persons with a mother complex will often reject advice or offers to help them. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to discuss common trait of victim complex sufferers. Persons diagnosed with a victim complex tend to dwell on every drama, crisis, or disease that could experience, often seeking survival techniques they have come to believe that society is simply happy. out for them. In that sense, they passively submit to their unavoidable fate as perpetual victims as a way of coping with problems that may range from tragic to trivial. Common traits of persons with a victim complex include their refusal to accept responsibility for dealing with their problems. They never accept any degree of blame for their problems. They always find reasons why suggested solutions will not work. They carry grudges, never forgive, and simply cannot move on. They're rarely assertive and find it hard to express their needs. They believe everyone is out to get them, thus trust no one. They are negative and pessimistic, always looking for the bad, even in the good. They are often highly critical of others and really enjoy life. Sad, don't you think? According to psychologists, victim complex sufferers employ these safer to flee than fight beliefs as a method of coping with completely avoiding life and its inherent difficulties. As noted behavior scientist, author, and speaker Steve Maraboli puts it, the victim mindset dilutes the human potential by not accepting personal responsibility for our circumstances. We greatly reduce our power to change them. It is sad, but true. I agree with you, Morena. Um, Now we're going to talk about the victim complex in relationships. In relationships, a partner with a victim complex can cause extreme emotional chaos. The victim may constantly ask their partner to help them, only to reject their suggestion or even find ways to sabotage them. In some cases, the victim will actually wrongly criticize their partner for failing to help or even accuse them of trying to make the situation worse. As a result of this frustrating cycle, victims become experts at manipulating or bullying their partners into making draining attempts of caregiving. Or this bully is looking for someone to take advantage of, often seek persons with a victim complex as their partners. Perhaps the most damaging, most likely to suffer from lasting damage from these relationships are partners who pity the victim, transcend from sympathy to become empathy. In some cases, the dangers of misguided empathy can end already tenuous relationships. Now, here's an interesting situation when victims meet saviors. Along with attracting bullies who are looking to them, persons with a victim complex often find partners who have a savior complex and are looking to fix them. According to psychologists with savior or messiah complex, feel a consuming need to save other people, often sacrificing their own needs and well-being. They seek out and attach themselves to people whom they believe desperately need their help because they are doing the noble thing in trying to save people while asking nothing in return. Savior often consider themselves better than everyone else. Interesting. While the savior partner is certain that they can help them, their victim partners certainly can are equally certain they cannot. Wish yet victim partners with martyr complex, happy in their misery, will stop at nothing to make sure that they fail. Whether the savior motives are helping are pure or not, their actions can be harmful. Incorrect in believing that the savior will help make them whole, The victim partners feel no need to take responsibilities for their own actions and obligation to do so. For the victim, any positive changes would be temporary, while negative changes would be permanent and potentially devastating. It's sad when you think about it. Okay. Now, here where we look for advice. Yes, and also another advice women are suggesting is to hit the like button. Okay. Yes, it doesn't cost you anything to hit the like button, and it does help out with the algorithm. Thank you very much, Mariana. Okay. Other conditions discussed in this article are true mental health disorders with medical problems. Advice on mental disorders and potentially dangerous relationships should be sought only from certified mental health care professionals. In the United States, registered professionals psychologists are certified by the American Board of Professional Psychology. This a certified psychologist or psychiatrist in your area are typically obtained from your state or local health agency. In addition, your primary care doctor is a good person to ask if you think you may need someone to talk about your mental health. And we're going to take it here, pocket here. So, as we can see, the main problem with those who have the victimization complex or martyr complex is, first of all, the sense of helplessness, also the fact that their situation will never change except it will get worse. Plus, they have no to take accountability for their actions. Okay. And when you do have people who do try to help these individuals, they don't see it as help. They see it as people that's going to hurt them. So what they'll do is they'll sabotage the people trying to help them. Okay, which is sad when you think about it. Okay. And you know what? And Urban is making a very good point. Okay, the best way for people to overcome visualization is therapy and self-concept. Okay. However, now we all know that that is the solution. The problem is many of these people are not okay, and not at that stage when they acknowledge they have a problem. Okay. And we know the fact that in order to arrive at a solution, we have to accept the fact that we have a problem. Okay. That's what, okay. Now, once we are able to acknowledge that we do have a problem, okay, and acknowledge the fact that we need help, that's half the battle there, okay? Because then after that, you're getting to a state where you are able to admit you have a problem and seek help and apply for the help. Because it's like you go to a doctor because you have an ailment. Okay? You explain to the doctor the symptoms, and the doctor can prescribe to you whether it be medication or change your diet, get more sleep in order to rectify the problem. The issue is, are you willing to follow the instructions of the doctor. Okay? Because the doctor can prescribe you medication. It's up to you to take the medication and to take the medication with the correct dose at the correct time. It's the same thing when you're dealing with these mental issues. Okay? You need to speak to a therapist or a psychologist or a psychologist. Just as a patient is describing to a medical doctor the symptoms regarding what causing them to be ill, condition, mental illness that's afflicting you. Okay. And then once you're able to do that, then the therapist or the psychologist or the psychiatrist can give you a course of action to deal with it. However, you have to be willing to follow those instructions. A trained health professional can give you all the instructions in the world. However, if you do not take it upon yourself, sound medical advice, you're not going to improve your mental health. You're not going to improve your mental well being. That is a fact. That is a reality. Okay. Now, I've mentioned this many times. Right now, I'm currently dealing with therapy with my mental health issues because I acknowledged that I needed help. Okay. And that's a problem with these individuals. As we can see here with the two articles that were shared, is that many times they're not at that stage where they ask, okay, this happened to me. This is a result. However, but the thing is, they need to have the desire to overcome it. They need to be humble enough to accept that they need help. They need to be humble enough to realize that they have a problem that's bigger than they are. And that could be a very humbling experience. And not everyone is at that point when they can acknowledge that. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the link again. Should anyone, should anyone want to join the panel? Okay. Oops. Okay, let me just. So let me just give me a moment. Okay, so the link is in the chat. If anyone wishes to join the panel and discuss what was discussed, so if for some reason you disagree with what I've shared, and you think that I don't know what I'm talking about, you can join the panel. And if you wish to stay in the chat and just share your point of view, you're more than welcome to do that. Okay. If no one joins the panel and no one enters any more comments, then I'll to wrap it up. Okay. Um, okay. Well, you know what? It's okay, but it's okay. But I appreciate it anyway. To be fair, the reason why I pick a 9 o'clock, to be mindful that there are people that still work. So maybe I need to do um, a later stream, say 9:30 or 10 o'clock. But in any case, I appreciate you being in the chat. Okay. So But as I stated before, we do know people and others who love to play the victim, who are not able to take responsibility for their actions. Okay, but we're not here to um, point the finger. We're here to discuss a problem and to discuss a solution. Okay, because here we talk about everyday problems, but we also talk about everyday solutions. Okay. Now, what I would suggest, if you do have people um, that are suffering from this type of malady, um, you do need to be patient with them. You do need to be understanding with them. However, you do need to set boundaries. Okay. It doesn't mean that you don't love them. You can, but it does mean that um, you also have to love yourself. Okay. And the one thing you don't want is to be so consumed with their issues that it starts to affect your mental well being. Okay. And also try courage then to realize that they can change their situations, that they have the ability to empower themselves. Okay. And when a person who goes from being constantly a victim, blaming everybody else for their own situations, and then slowly but surely they begin to realize that, um, I may have this situation, but I can deal with it. I may have. Okay, so it can be um, a slow process. However, um, it is worth it. Okay, you just have to be patient with these people. Okay, so that being said, let me just discuss a little bit further regarding the psychological um, effects on cyberbullying. Okay, and then after that, um, unfortunately, we're living in a day that people can get behind a computer and they can harass and they can dox and they can attack people and be all brave and what have you because no one sees them. Okay, so it's very easy for a person to develop fake courage behind a computer and say the most silly, crazy, and obscene things. And unfortunately, are cyberbullying. And unfortunately, there are people who are actually deleted themselves because the pressure of dealing with these cyberbullies are such that unfortunately lead people to delete themselves. Okay. And one thing I will say about YouTube or social media in general, you need to have a thick skin, particularly when you're dealing with certain individuals who use social media uh, to attack others. Yes, I exactly. Um, Now, some people say that social media is a blessing, is a curse. It all depends how you use it. Okay, there are great people who use social media to educate, to entertain, to inform others, and then there's those who use social media to prey on others' fears, concerns, and idiosyncrasies. It is sad, but it's reality. But I will be discussing it um, this next Tuesday. Of course, I will send the links to everyone. Everyone is more than able um, to hop on, or they can catch it on the playback. Okay. Okay. This up. I don't think this was a complete waste. The fact of the matter is, I was able to discuss a topic regarding regarding the victimization mindset, because we do know people who who, who unfortunately deal with this malady. Okay, and of course, all of you are more than welcome to watch this playback. And what I will do is I'll send the link. I'll send the stream to some of my friends of mine in Instagram, so they can watch it at their own leisure. Okay. But I do appreciate the fact of Irby and Moana in the chat. I really appreciate it. Okay. And the fact that you were there in the chat, and you also interacted with me. I really appreciate it very, very much. So, so that being said, um, we're gonna have an interesting stream on Thursday. No, correction, Friday, and the topic is going to be outrageous single mothers. Now, like I said again, uh, most single mothers do a very good job raising children. However, we have to acknowledge there's some not so wonderful single moms. Okay. So, and I'm unsure, and it's not meant. First of all, it's not meant to trigger anybody, but we do have to acknowledge that. Oh, okay, we do have to acknowledge that there are not just they're not some great single moms out there. However, there's a lot of great single moms, so we must always bear that in mind. So that being said, uh, Miranda, don't take it personal. Don't take it personal, okay? We all know you're a great mom. Okay. Excuse me. We all so. But that being said, I really do appreciate everyone who either catch it live or catch it on playback. Okay. I apologize. My computer is running slow. Okay. Okay. No, you're quite welcome, Rona. You're quite welcome. Okay. And you know, um, you come across as a responsible mom. Okay. Thank you, Irby, for stopping by. Okay. So, okay. Well, that being said, I just want to wish everyone a very good night. Take care, peace, and and let's be good to one another. And this is another episode of On Common Sense with Hossein Iqbal. Good night, take care, and peace.